Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome, welcome. I'll let everyone take a moment to connect their audio, get situated. There's people still filing in here. All right. I want to welcome everyone to Broker Connect. If you haven't been here before, my name is Kelly Galloway. I normally host these things, or I'm your normal Arrive host. We have a broker host, but I'm your host on the Arrive side. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Broker Connect is an interactive bi-weekly meeting with top brokers and Arrive users where you can learn best practices, get insight into how other people are using the system, and just get a ton of tips for yourself. I'm here today with our host, Joe of Legacy Home Loans. He is not here at the moment. He will be joining. He's a few minutes late. So I actually lied. I'm not here with him yet, but he will be here. In his place for the time being, we have the wonderful, incredible, amazing Vincent O'Brien. Take it away, Vince. You want to say a little bit about yourself while you're here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so happy to be filling in for a few. I do have some experience as both a processor and then I became a licensed loan originator. And when I switched to Arrive, I was like, this is a game-changing product. And so then when the opportunity arose to actually work at Arrive, I was like, that sounds great. I'm already like your biggest fan. And I've only become a bigger fan since working here. We have an awesome company. I'll happy to talk about what I love so much about Arrive. But yeah, that's my story.
Cool. So you guys are gonna get a good mix of everything today. So you can get, Vince's perspective. You can ask him questions. He knows obviously everything about the platform.
Not every
Sorry to put that sort of pressure on you. He knows a
Fine.
lot
Much for
about
that.
Arrive. He's extremely knowledgeable. So he's here today to fill in for the first couple of minutes until Joe can come and then answer everything from a broker user's perspective. Okay, so before we open it up for any questions, I just have a few pieces of business. I'm so sorry, I cannot talk today, Friday. I just have a few pieces of business to take care of. Okay. So, for those who don't know, we have a ton of weekly learning opportunities. These are all completely free. If you are not taking advantage of our free weekly learning or weekly training events, we definitely encourage you to take advantage of these. Like I said, they are free. So first up, we have an onboarding and Q&A session. This is offered every Monday and Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. This is really step one of your Arrive training if you're a new user. And this is two sessions. So we have on Monday, we have a user settings and account configuration class. And then on Tuesday, we have a company admin training. And then we also have two sessions of new user training every Wednesday, part one and part two. We have Arrive live Q&A with our product experts on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We have a special processor specific training on Wednesdays. We have an AE training session. This is offered once per month on the second Wednesday. The next session is January 8th. So if you want your AEs to be better versed on the system and just be better partners to you overall, send them to that training. We have Arrive University, and this is every other Friday. So when Broker Connect is not going on, generally Arrive University is going on. And this is hosted by our CEO, Harish. And this is where you can learn all about the updates and enhancements made to the Arrive platform. And then, of course, we have this session, Broker Connect, which happens every other Friday. And that's really the most you are going to hear me talk throughout this entire session. And I'm going to leave it up to the experts here and, of course, open it up to your questions. But all of the events that I just ran through there can be found on our website, arrive.com. You can sign up for all of the events at arrive.com/events. And like I said before, these are all completely free. All right. So, Vince, take it away. I do actually, I'm still letting people in the room here, but okay. So I know Vince introduced himself. I do want to just make it known that Vince is, it's really, we're lucky to have him here to fill in while Joe is not here. He is, like I said, an expert on the platform. So if you do have questions, please feel free to either take yourself off mute. You can drop your questions also in the chat as well. I know some people might feel a little shy, maybe your microphone isn't working, but you can feel free to drop your question in the chat as well. So what do we have here? Where do we want to start today?
While we wait for questions to roll in, I would just love to reiterate what Kelly said about the events. I host one of our Q&A sessions. They're awesome. They're just like this, except smaller crowds, more like intimate experience. No one else really to share the room with. I wish there were more people. It's like our most underutilized event. It's a Zoom call, so I'll share my screen in those sessions. I'll show you anything you want to see. So just a really awesome resource that more people need to start using. As far as knowing everything in the system, I don't even think our developers know everything in the system because we are changing and upgrading and improving the system every single week. So that's really awesome stuff. I'd love to share with you guys anything that you would like to learn more about. Tara wants me to talk about the realtor portal. So if you didn't know, we have a fully fleshed out, just like your borrowers have a login, they can log into their portal. You can invite your real estate agent partners to their own portal where they can log in and they can view any files where you assign them as a business contact. Now, obviously, we're not showing them like the full 1003, right? There's like sensitive data in there, but they can track the loan's progress. They can see like who the key points of contact are. There's a place where they can drop documents in, like they get a signed purchase agreement. They can upload that right into your Arrive file. You can even choose to give them access to the pre-approval letter if you choose to, where you set the limits and then they're able to generate their own pre-approval letters, throughout the weekend as they're going out, putting out offers. All right. Clark asks a great question. How would you recommend someone totally new to Arrive learn the system? I think Kelly laid out the roadmap really well. Let me share my screen and just show you on our website what you want to focus on. So first things first, you need to get to our events page. And basically, the top 5 events are all must attend. So, this onboarding session, this will teach you basically what to know about configuring your account, getting yourself set up for success. So, when you start working loans, the system's working the exact way that you intend it to. There are a lot of tools, a lot of resources at your disposal. And we go through in this session, like how to customize your email templates, set up your licenses, set up your e-sign, your credentials, credit, AUS, so you can run all those in your files. And then if you're the admin of your company, this is going to be equally as important. So company settings, a whole nother animal. So a lot of that is going to be similar to what you see in user settings. There are a lot of functionalities at the company level we've opened up to the user level. But there's a lot of stuff you need to do on behalf of your company. Setting up closing cost templates, adding manual lenders, adding the company licenses, any company credentials. So that's all really important. And then these new user training sessions, between these 2 sessions, we take you from receiving an app to funding a loan and everything you need to know in between as far as working the loan file in Arrive. So if you're new, hit up the big 4. And then when you still have questions, that's where Arrive Live Q&A 3 days a week until, you know, forever. So you can always come to these sessions. And then you have this support portal. So as you're continuing on and you're still learning and you're still trying to get better, there are so many resources here. There are a bunch of articles, getting started articles, right? So, if you're looking for more guidance that you can keep referencing back, there's a whole field of getting started, FAQ kind of articles, user guides. There's dozens of them. There's like literally dozens of different articles in here teaching you different things. They all have like GIFs and images to like help you understand what you're looking at and how it all functions. So really useful. And then we have a whole video library. It's only available to our users, so make sure you're logged in with your credentials on this page. But we've got dozens of short videos to help you learn, training sessions, all those training sessions we talked about. We've got recordings of them here. Our Arrive University sessions are here. And then this search bar, you can just search all of these things at once. So I'm just like, how do I set up a second mortgage? Oh, there's a video for that, right? How do I set up a down payment assistance loan, right? Is there a DPA loan setup video? Of course there is. And like how many lenders are integrated with Arrive, right? So this is like Google for your Arrive account, right? Which wholesale lenders are integrated with Arrive? There's a whole list here. So a lot of resources for you getting started. And if you just need to ask someone a quick question, there's also a little chat box right here. You could start talking with our team. These are real people that are here to help you. This chat box also exists within your Arrive account. All right. Hope that was helpful. Brian, thanks for dropping the Arrive events
Yeah.
tab. Um, Marcin asks, can I add realtor info to my pre-approval letter without realtor going to realtor portal? Yes. So uh, every time you generate like the pre-approval letter, you can edit the text in each file. So if you want to like type in the realtor's info before the realtor gets in there, you can do that. You can also at the template level in your settings, you can edit the pre-approval letter. And I believe so we have these information tags, which are basically, you know, it's how our pre-approval letter knows what the loan amount is, what the purchase price is. The information tags will pull information from the loan file into your templates. So you could, in your template, add an information tag for the buyer's agent's name, and you can do that. And then all of your pre-approval letters will have the realtor's name.
Good question so far. Let's keep it going.
Can we talk?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Can I share my screen? I I'm a new user. I'm not using very often, so probably I'm doing something wrong. So I'm gonna share my screen. I have an issue with the FHA loan. It is showing under product pricing incorrect cash to close.
Um,
We try not to share sensitive borrower information on here.
Okay,
If you'd
so
like, I can share my screen and I can pull up an FHA
yep,
loan and we can try to like figure it out kind of backwards that way.
there's
Um,
no borrower information actually. It's just numbers.
I'll just I'll just stick to our policy and I'll pull up an FHA loan over here.
Okay.
So try to talk it out with me, like what you're trying to accomplish here.
Okay, go to loan property first. Yeah, just put whatever. 96.5 LTV. Let's put the seller concession 6%.
You want to add a seller credit down here?
Yeah.
For sure. Do they let you do a percentage or do I should crunch
Uh,
myself real quick?
Six. What purchase price you put?
Oh,
500.
of the purchase price, that's my fault.
Yeah, it's uh
Ah, 30K. I could
30,000. Yeah, let's do
I
30,000.
could have done that math. All right,
That will be probably a little too much. Can you change the price to like 300,000,
happily.
and then it will be 18,000.
Yes, sir. All
All
right.
right, so let's price the loan. Yeah, you can do, yeah. I know.
All right.
Yeah, go to any of them. Select the price.
You want me to like generate a quote here?
Yeah.
Sure.
You don't have to compare, but just yeah, and then review fees. And if you go to review fees,
Oh, okay. We want to get into the fees tab. I got you. Why is this monthly payment showing up as a what kind of just gonna ignore that. All right, so we're in review fees.
Yeah, and click on the IFW. The cash to close is probably incorrect. On mine is like way incorrect because down payment on my loan is $10,000, but a cash from borrower it's showing only $300. So when you print that information for your borrower, it looks like he has to bring to the table only $300 because it's calculating the seller concession, okay, into down payment. But I select the rate that it's cost zero or paying something. So yeah, select the way higher rate.
You want a higher rate?
Yeah, so I want a rate that it's like doesn't cost anything. What is it's a lender paid right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so select the rate like yeah. Oh,
Well, no, this is not so this is broker paid.
yeah, so go on lender paid.
So are you saying that ARIVE automatically puts in seller concessions?
Yeah. No, not automatic. I put a seller concession $18,000, and on the first page, like cash to close down payments showing correctly, but when you go to printing the fees, it looks like borrower has to bring only $300, which is way incorrect and misleading.
So when we go to disclose, because we're going to disclose to the lender, correct?
We're gonna scroll to the lender, but before that, I want to send him like a couple different options with like 3 different rates, and all of them showing it incorrect cash to close. So even before I want to I'm gonna disclose correctly, but before even borrower tell me give me a green light, I want to have it like at least close numbers, and because the real number is like $10,000 on the yeah, it's a down payment basically. With that rate, he has to bring a down payment, but the fee sheet from Arrive showing $300.
Probably because of the seller concession that you added, right?
Yeah, but the seller concession you cannot use seller concession for a down payment. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. When
Yeah.
I click on this, that's exactly what it is. But you can't use it towards down payment. They need to have their own money. So
Right.
it's the minimum contribution. So he has to have this $10,500.
Right. So you probably can't take a seller concession of more than what the closing costs are.
Well, the closing costs like actually will be like around $18,000 with all the closing costs will be even more with all
So
the
then
title,
there's the issue. You
taxes.
probably want to set your fees up differently on the file, right? Like if you
They're
don't
set
have
up
eighteen
correctly.
thousand dollars of fees, Arrive's just struggling to do the math a little bit, I think. Like,
Yeah, the Arrive is just basically adding seller concession to the down payment, which is incorrect. And also it's showing that the down payment.
well, it sounds like you might be missing some of your closing costs. Like, I think you might want to adjust your fees page before you generate the fee sheet. All the closing costs that you expect to be due should be accounted for here. If you don't have $18,000 worth of closing costs
I
and
do
you have
have.
an $18,000 seller concession, you're going to run into that issue. That's all
But
Arrive is trying to do on this screen is just figure out, like, tell us what your closing costs are. We have the down payment from the 1003. You gave us the seller credit, and we'll do the math for you. If you're not getting the final number you want, you might be just
Yeah,
missing some fees, right?
you have a cash to borrow of 1,500. You have it wrong too.
It's
Can
not
you
that I have it
check your
wrong.
MIP?
Yeah, click on the compare pricing, like with the quote that you sent to the borrower. So on this paper, it will be like incorrect cash to close. So you see, estimated cash. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So make sure that it's on you as the user to get your fees set up in a way that's accurate and correct. We're just pulling fees from your company templates. You can utilize smart fees as well. But if you're telling me there should be $18,000 of closing costs and you don't have $18,000 of closing costs in the review fees, that's the step that you need to take is you need to update your closing costs and get that correct. You can update, the funding fee, you can update your fees in the fees screen. Um,
But
but
what
it's just
about your fees? Are they correct right now? Title, everything? Because
probably not. Like this is just
mine are correct.
Well, I think with like any loan, they give you an idea. It's kind of like some people over disclose. So, you got to get a hold of your closing attorney or escrow. Some people use title in escrow. So, or title companies, get a hold of them for that exact property, find out as close as you can, still over disclose just to protect yourself because nobody wants a cure. And some things, there's not a tolerance for. So
I don't think Arrive have it set up to where I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but typically if you're putting the seller credits in there, it's not going to just keep the down payment the same. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying, like you still got to pay. So I always just kind of let the clients know, like you're still going to have to pay down payment amount no matter what for FHA, right? And let them know that the seller credits may be more than what the closing costs are, or we can try to, buy the rate down further or do some other things. But this particular one that you're talking about, it is going to make it look different. It's going to make it look like they don't have to bring much to closing because they are accounting for it in the down payment, as the down payment is part of the seller credit. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, you
I
see,
don't
even here
I-
it says down payment $5,400, so which is incorrect.
Yeah, and so for that part of it, what they're doing is that the upfront mortgage insurance, they automatically kind of take that out because in the fee section, it puts the mortgage insurance at the top to roll it in. So I always try to explain that part to them. It's a real difficult one to explain, but it's always, I just let them know. I try to make the numbers to where I think it's gonna be anyway. But I don't think y'all have the capability. I'm not sure. I haven't never seen it to where it wouldn't, it would still calculate that because that's kind of how the lenders calculate it too.
Right.
So,
So yeah, I know. Like when I disclose
Mhm.
it, everything will be fine. But like I'm talking about the stage, like way before. And if I want to print from here, it's gonna have incorrect
Yeah,
numbers. I have to redo it. Everything. Yeah.
I would just reduce the amount of seller credit so you can make sure you're giving them more of an accurate number to expect to pay. I don't know. I don't know no other way to do it, but I hear what you're saying loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes, I got what you're saying as well. And that's what I think I would do is I would leave the seller concession out and explain to the buyer that you're leaving the seller concession out, not that you're completely leaving it out, but just so the numbers will be correct. Because if you accidentally disclose it at the wrong numbers, you're in a heap of trouble.
Yeah.
And it's not worth our license, our lives, and our livelihood, you know, to screw up like that. So I have a question. So I have arrived in Georgia because I'm dual licensed. I'm licensed in Georgia and I'm licensed in Oklahoma. So I lived in Georgia, moved back to Oklahoma. So, but anyway, my new company in Oklahoma is with Arrive. Now, the one in Georgia, I always had the option between Arrive and Motto Mortgage because I'm with the Motto Mortgage company. And because I was busy, I didn't want to learn the new system. Of course, they said it's pretty simple and all. So, do you have like I know we're doing like a demo here, but do you have like a video that has it step by step? Because one thing that I'm not sure on is like over here on this, under the Vincent test, do you just go down that whole list right there, all the way down to get the loan in?
Yeah, so in the very beginning of the call, you may have jumped in right after, but we talked
Sorry.
about these training events that we have. So if you go to arrive.com/events, these two new user training sessions take you from application through funding. So these two events right here, I think someone dropped this link in the chat. I'll just drop it again. These two events, new user training, will teach you like everything that you need to know about these tabs and how to, review an application, price out a loan, set up your fees, request documents
Yeah,
from a
can you put
client.
that back up? I was trying to write that down.
Yeah, it's just arrive.com. And then at the top of the page is our events tab. So arrive.com/events. I just dropped it in the chat too.
Okay, thanks.
And then on our support page, we've got this webinars and videos. So instead of events, you can click on support. You can go to webinars and training videos. Just make sure you're logged in with your Arrive credentials. And we have recordings of those sessions right here.
Good. Perfect.
Awesome. Looks like we have a couple questions since then. Are disclosures auto-generated? What's the best way to find state-specific disclosures? So, we're not firing your like initial disclosures and your closing disclosures out of Arrive. If you're brokering, you should definitely be running that through the lender's system. Just like, they have skin in the game. They're gonna be in with you if there's tolerance cures, things like that. Like they have liability. So you don't want to take that burden on yourself. When you have the lenders generating disclosures on your behalf, that's your best option. You can add any forms that you need to send out yourself. You can search our forms for anything like state specific or, whatever you're looking for. And if we don't have any forms that you need as part of your regular process, you can go into company settings if you're an admin, and you can go into this forms list section of company settings. And here you're able to add any documents that you plan to use. You can add dynamic fields to these documents. You can customize so that they pre-populate for you, right? So I can put this box right here, and I can have this generate the borrower's last name. What document is that? Right, and I can just keep going on and on. So you can customize what forms Arrive has on top of all these built-in forms that we've set up for you.
Right. I think we went through the questions in the chat here. Do we have any other questions for Vince? Does anyone want to chime in? Drop any more questions in the chat.
I got one.
Yeah.
Vince, so question. I was playing around with this earlier today. Client need rules. So when creating client need rules, I noticed that there are ways where you can create either document upload or document signature and so forth that can be created. But then when doing, like, for example, document signature, then you can pick the name, which is fine, and then you can create the rule. But the forms list isn't necessarily the same form list that I have in my Arrive company settings for my form list. So, like, for example, the rule that I was trying to create was if the asset is a gift letter, if the asset is a gift, then it would create a gift letter, right? So then I ran a test on it, but then the problem is it just requests a signature, so it doesn't populate the information that you would need, such as the client name that's already in Arrive, the signature, and so forth. So the only way to do that basically to kind of do a hybrid and create your own with your own tags in order to get the correct information.
So the gift letter form that you're selecting,
Yeah.
isn't pre-populating the information when the rule triggers?
No, it only populates the signature is the issue. Because technically, on the gift letter, you can get all the borrower information from Arrive, from the 1003. The information that you won't be able to get is going to be like the donor, because the donor is nowhere on the application. So the idea is that you can make it where you have the information from the borrower as a recipient with the subject property address, loan number, and so forth, and then make it fillable through the rest. So I'm assuming I may have to create like a custom form in order for it for me to generate the way I wanted to.
Let me see.
And then I would also like it to have, the way it would really work is that it should match whatever the gift amount is. So if my gift amount is $10,000, right, then it should match my amount.
I don't think it can do that. I'm pretty sure it can't
I
do
mean,
that.
it's in the application. Can't do it yet, but we can get there.
I'm in trouble creating that for myself. Yeah, I mean, if what you're saying is true, I'm having trouble testing it out myself. It's not letting me auto generate the rule I just created. But what you said is probably the best course of action, is just creating that gift letter from scratch. What you can do is you can just duplicate our gift letter, like when you go into forms list.
Yeah, clone it and then create my own
Yeah,
tags.
exactly. And then you can just build your own tags. That one's not the most in-depth form, so that probably wouldn't take you too long, right? But
Yeah, got it. No, yeah, I was just wondering to see like what would be like the correct way to kind of do it to populate, to really make it where it actually makes sense, right?
yeah, I would have thought that it would populate, so it's kind of news to me what you're saying.
Don't worry, Vince. I'm always here to complicate things.
I
Arthur's
agree.
Arthur's
Arthur
a
is.
Arthur's a Broker Connect veteran. He actually just hosted one of our more recent sessions. So, Arthur, please feel
Yeah.
free to chime in and bail me out if there's any tough questions.
No, yeah, client needs rules are like the one thing that I really haven't, I would say, worked on. So it's kind of like my new project, I guess, for the year on how to see how I can get the most out of it. I mean, I just sent you guys a really long feedback, so
Awesome.
Arthur, if you want, why don't you talk about some of the automation rules that you've set up?
sure. So a lot of the automation rules that we have set up as a company, it's we do, so we have two sets of automation rules really that we've kind of implemented full force. The first one is having full requirements where we force a loan officer to complete the application and complete certain tasks prior to moving the milestone. Because as a company, what we realized was ARIVE, for good or for worse, it kind of lets you do whatever you want and not necessarily have certain information completed. So what happens is we basically created almost like an internal checklist, similar to other LOSs that are more on the enterprise level. So like, for example, before you move a loan into setup or into disclosure, you are required to have your title company in there. You're required to have the real estate agent if it's a purchase and so forth, in order to make sure you have complete information. Like the whole idea is that your file is as complete as possible, and then you don't forget to do like the little things. Because then what that allows us to do is the next step, which is automate notifications internally as well as externally, as far as milestones and different changes that happen through the loan. So what we're able to do is create rules where, depending on the milestone, we use the ARIVE templates more for external communication, because that gives loan officers the ability to kind of customize those messages to their customers. But then for internal communication, we kind of hard coded them in to make it mandatory, because the one thing that we feel that everyone wants during a loan process is information, right? People want to know where it's at and what are the current things that are going on, and then send out those automatic emails to their inbox. Because let's face it, we all live in our inbox all day. And a lot of times, if you get a file that's either approved, resubmitted, or whatever it is, it's a lot easier for you just to glance at it on your phone or your email, rather than having to go into any portal and gather all that information. So you get basically the key items, key snapshots based on where the loan is and what the rule is based, because we would like to customize as much as possible, because we always felt that during different points in the process, you want to know different things about the loan, right? And then creating a lot of stuff to basically eliminate the need for you to send and type in an email with redundant information that's already in the system. That was kind of like the biggest thing because you're basically just sending the same thing over and over again. We're like, why not just automate it? Press a button, it moves, everyone is notified. And that kind of really helped us a lot as far as our communication, our customer service, to kind of give people that information. And then we're doing other stuff as far as like we were mentioning with adding documentation to go out automatically and so forth, whether it be invoices, wire confirmations, things like that, that will be a little bit more robust. You can kind of build that in to communicate with your title companies in order to help get your broker commissions faster, your wires, and a lot of other stuff that we're doing. And it's kind of like the first step. I'm sure that in the next 6 months, there's going to be a lot more changes. So it's kind of exciting to see how much we can automate this.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing, Arthur. Yeah,
Absolutely.
as Vince said, Arthur is a Broker Connect host veteran. He hosted one of our recent events, so we appreciate him coming back and sharing his knowledge with us and also contributing to the session. So yeah, the session is not just for new users, it's for everybody who wants to learn and just pick up new tips. But I have some exciting news to switch things up, shake up this session. We want to thank Vince for stepping in for the first half of this, but our host, Joe, has entered the chat. He is in the building. Joe, you are on mute, but if you would like to take yourself off mute and talk a little bit about yourself, about your business, we would love to hear it.
Sorry for being late. I was cutting it close, and then I went on the Google Meet link because I just saw blue and my ADD
My
kicked in.
fault.
So
That's my
it's all
fault.
good. But my name's Joe Facciolo. I'm based out of Philly. My office is right outside of Philly, Media PA, like Villanova. If you're familiar with Villanova University, started off. I've only been in the mortgage world. I guess it's like 2017, 2018, something like that. And I started off in the broker world, and then I went into retail, and it was with correspondent lender, and then back in 2022, December 2022, so I'm actually pushing 2 years now. I started my own broker, and it's been a whirlwind, but Arrive has definitely helped out a lot with that. We were working. I always knew Encompass. That was like the name of the game for me, and it was just one of those tedious systems, and I hated it. Not saving stuff, not being able to work off of Wi-Fi, stuff like that. So when I was like kind of vetting all the different companies, because I'm really picky with tech when it comes to that stuff, because I'm not tech savvy. I checked out LendingPad, checked out a bunch of stuff, and Arrive was just like the go-to. So now, being in the year two, it's kind of funny hearing Arthur, talk about what he's doing. And that's kind of what I'm starting to do now too, is build out, the customization of it, I would say is like, I don't know if there's any other broker owners on here, but it's nothing like Encompass and LendingPad. It's just so user friendly. And the fact that you're able to tailor it and customize it so easily, I mean, it's definitely helpful. I will say it takes time, and if there was an option, and, I'm working with somebody right now to have it where it's like, if you want this part built out for you, it's X amount of dollars. If you want this part built out, it's X amount of dollars. So that we can start having it where it's like, if I have LOs come on, they want it built out that way, cool. Like you can do that, and we have that available to you. The new thing I would say is, and this is like new to me, if you are a broker owner, is the compliance setup of it. And I know I kind of caught a little bit of Arthur talking about that too. Like you can put these hard stops in, but I would say like, I guess the real thing is who exactly here, like, raise your hands or put it in the chat. Like who's an LO? Just an LO, not like a broker owner. If you're a broker owner, put in broker owner. I'm just curious to see, out of everybody in here, what kind of role you're in, or if you're a processor and so forth. All right. Well, Brian got 1000% better. I like that one. We got broker owner, admin, broker owner, one man shop. Okay, Marson, we'll definitely connect. All right, cool. So there's a lot of broker owners. LOA. Okay. All right. So if I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. Vania. For you as an LOA, like you can make your life a lot easier with this by putting hard stops in. Just because when you're going through an app, I don't know how everybody's system is. I have what I built out called the perfect loan process. It was one of the coaching groups I was with Tim Brahim, and they more or less make you from A to Z build out what your process looks like, right? Like you're taking your app, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're checking this. You can customize Arrive, and my processor has now spent a lot of time going in here and like diving in deep along with a few other people to really see the key features. And like, you know, just say like if you're an LOA, you're probably calculating income for people, right? And like one of the biggest things that I see missed is like if you're paying alimony or child support, if the people don't check it off in the application, which that was one of the hard stops in my process. It always said like check and see if we have alimony or child support being paid. And I didn't realize, like in my 1003 with when I was in Compass, that was in there if they paid alimony or child support. It was not in Arrive. So we input that manually into Arrive, that is now something in the 1003 that the borrower has to fill out. If we go in, like, you know, we go into that. If they don't fill that out, it hard stops us so that we can ask that question. Then it also has, we have a hard stop in there now that when we're checking the pay stub, did you check for alimony or child support? Because if anybody's like myself, you know, ADD, or they got, you know, somebody else helping them and they're doing a bunch of different things at once, you know, it's an easily missed step. So what we've done now is we've started taking that perfect loan process that I have and importing it into Arrive so that you can't mess it up. Like you know, you're gonna, I mean, granted, things can always be messed up. Somebody can fat finger it, they can, you know, check it off and it really wasn't. But again, it goes back to the accountability and the tracking on Arrive where you can now go and see who clicked that button. And when they say they didn't, it's like, all right, well, I call bullshit because it's right here, you know, and you're able to show them that they clicked the button. So I love it for the automation and you know, being able to really track that I would say that's the key thing. And this week alone, I've just learned so much with, just like Arthur was saying, like the automated emails and text, the stuff that can go out like that. It just makes your life so much easier, not having to necessarily do 15 calls to let somebody know that the appraisal came in. You can have that email go out, boom, transaction coordinators, you know, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, and so forth, in a click of a button. And then if you have time later, obviously, yeah, it's good to stay in front of them, build that rapport. But I've never seen a system that does, you know, as much as Arrive can.
Glowing review. We don't even pay him to say all these nice words about us.
They don't. They
Hmm.
don't.
Do we have any questions for Joe? We have it's like having two sessions in one today. We've had two hosts today. Let's get some questions for Joe here. Feel free to drop them in the chat or just take yourself off of mute.
I did that good of a job.
I know there are some. I know there's some questions. Okay, so someone are you using the text feature in Arrive?
I'm not. I haven't set that up. I think it's Flowify or I forget Twilio, I think might be it.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know if
Twilio.
yeah, it's Twilio. I haven't set that up. Do you have that, Arthur?
I do. It's actually been like really useful, especially for, I use it primarily for realtors because
Okay.
what happens is um you tend to get a better um response from text, especially for doing loan process because everyone, a lot of people kind of silence their emails just because depending on the person, I mean, I get like 300 emails a day and you don't want your phone kind of doing it. And it kind of gives you like that push notification
Yeah.
that goes into the text, especially for transactions, whether it be, you know, just your basic milestones that go throughout the process, whether it be loan is approved, appraisals in, title and so forth, and kind of do it like that. That's something that I'll be honest, I kind of stole from my former retail employer when I was at Caliber because they always had that in there. And that was always something that was like, wow, this is great. You know, you kind of know because it's almost like the way I look at it, it's almost like how you track packages on Amazon. You get a package, you know that's there, you know it's delivered, right? And people like to know where things are without having to ask. And it just saves you that much, that phone call, I guess. And people just like it because you don't have to ask. People know, hey, cool, thumbs up.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, even just the emails, you know, being able to have it go to everybody, it's just been everybody loves that. Like if you're with a company that's not alerting them as you're going through the process and you're making, you know, more work for yourself just trying to alert them, it's not really time efficient, especially when we need to be going out and get as many loans as we can at this time.
100%.
Let's see. I'm new to Arrive. Sessions have been great. Joan, I'll tell you this. When I first got on Arrive, I was like, oh, I'm like, how am I supposed to learn all this? But I'll say this. If you go in, what is it, the upper right-hand corner, like once you're logged in, they have like the help section. There's a lot of great videos there, and like also definitely be combing through. I think it's the question mark if you're in your dashboard in the upper right-hand corner. But if you search on there, there's a lot of different videos, and like we were using that up until last week just to go in on like how to create rules for the broker owners. I think there was a couple broker owners. The big thing is it's like compliance. Like, how are you handling that? I'm working with a compliance person right now, which try to see if we could do something with Arrive as well, where depending on your state, they're going to go through and have your state specific items that you're going to be needing for an audit, or you could potentially need for an audit, so that when you're post closing your files, you're making sure that everything's in there before you go and post close your file, so that way when you have an audit, it's a lot easier. Because I'll tell you this, like 2 years, don't ask me how the hell I got called for 2 audits already, but luckily one of the states I didn't write a lot of business, but I had one last week for Pennsylvania, and it was a friggin' nightmare. And being a one-man shop, like I know, somebody in here said they were one-man shop. Like, being a one-man shop, it's me and a processor. And if it wasn't for me, the processor and the compliance person, it would have never have gotten done. They said we take 10% sample. They took like 98% sample of my loans. I don't know if it's because I did quite a few, but for Pennsylvania, they took over 100 and some loans from me. So to be able to make, be prepared for that, they gave you 2 weeks. They said that, or I think it was like a week and a half. And they were like, oh, we gave you sufficient time. Well, when you're trying to run the show, get more deals, keep the deals on track, and then they want you to get all this stuff, it's a lot easier if you have these systems in place up front, so that when you're going to post close it, you're grabbing everything when you need it, and then you're good to go. So I can't stress enough, like, trying to set something up in there, figuring out what you need state specific wise. And like I said, I have a great compliance person that I started working with. Actually, I have 2 companies, but the one girl, she's really, really good. And she saw what we built out with Arrive, and she's just like, this is wild. She's like, she gave us more tips on different things that we should be taking and so forth. But I think, down the road, she's going to be trying to do something, where we work together, try to make it state specific. So whatever state you're in, these loans, we can customize Arrive so that, it has the ability so that what you need, and those audits come and you're not going to get, jammed up where you don't have something.
Joe, I have a question.
Sure.
What's the one feature that you would like to add to Arrive that you feel would make your life easier from an LO perspective?
Well, I mean, as to the compliance part that I was just saying, like, I'd love for there to be a folder in that disclosure, like where it has the disclosures and, asset income. I'd like one to just be compliance, because when you see how some of these states want like their stacking order, it's a real nightmare to have to go through a whole LE and be able to, put it in Adobe and pull this, pull that. To have something in there, like when we drop in that, I think the best thing, at least from a broker owner standpoint, I would say, if we could have it where we drag and drop the loan estimate in there, and like Encompass does do this, by the way, too, which is that was like one of their only good features. If you drag and drop, a document in there from like compliance section or standpoint, it would categorize every document on where it went. You know what I mean? Like your Patriot Act, boom, it would go to the Patriot Act. Like having something like that from a back office standpoint, that would save us so much time from a post-closing standpoint. Now, some LOs just don't give a shit. They're just like, whatever. But, I try to
So
stay.
you're talking like an OCR, basically. Like if you were to like upload, let's say, your final executed package,
Yep.
the system will then recognize, it's like 95, 100 pages, depending on the state and the program, and then basically just separate them into the individual categories instead of having like the big closing doc all together.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you do your audits, like they say, like, oh, we want this, and they want it in a special stacking order. So then you're in there every file trying to get it so that you can give it to them how they want it. Versus if we were able to just, click those boxes and have them ordered, put them in a zip, You know what I mean? It would make it
Yeah.
so much easier. But that's more like, again, broker owner standpoint. If I was an LO, I don't know. I mean, there's not really much you could do better that I could see from an LO standpoint. As for, I mean, maybe an app, but like, again, from the cost of this, cost is pretty damn cheap,
Yeah.
compared to like you try to go get all the same features in this that it is with Lending Pattern and Compass, you're going to be looking at a boatload of cash. So I
Yeah.
mean, to be able to have this, and like I love the web based, like I work from a hotspot. If I couldn't make it on this today, I was literally going to pull up my hotspot, have ARIVE open on one screen, and then my other in the car. And I've worked from a job site all day, for like a new construction project that I was working on, and no issues. Like I can save things, I can work on it. I mean, the only thing I haven't messed with is out of the country VPN and like what I need to do for that, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
That one's easy. Just get a NordVPN or Surfshark and you can just log in using one of those.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, from an LO standpoint, I don't really know how you could. I don't really know how you can mess this up. Like you just shouldn't be an LO if you can't use it. Simple as that. Simple as that. I mean, it's really easy. Even my processor said it. She's been doing this for like 15 years, and she was all worried because she never did broker work. And she's like, I don't know if I could go back doing Compass. And I'm like, yeah, it's the only thing probably holding me back from doing retail again.
Definitely agree with that. I almost
Yeah.
wish. Yeah, absolutely.
What about you? What do you see as something that you could use, but you don't really think that they have on here?
I think it's something that's kind of in the works now is that they've added or be more on the validation side to add certain features as far as I know that they added support of work number and now they have other third-party validation services that kind of goes because Fannie and Freddie have really expanded their API integrations for third-party validations, and that's definitely with technology. I feel like where it's going to go in the near future. Of course, it varies from lender to lender as far as what they allow, because some lenders won't allow a work number anyways, or they want to pull it themselves for integrity of the file. But it just simplifies a lot of times the automatic process of the LO when it's able to do so.
Yeah.
That's always been something that I've always found interesting because at my old retail lender, it was actually really cool where like when the when the borrower applied, if they were on the work number, it would automatically pull the work number for them. So the file already came in with a work number in there.
Yeah.
And if they consented to credit pull, it already came with that in there as well. So it kind of really sped up the process as far as once you get to a certain volume amount to really be able just to go through things at a much faster rate because people don't realize like if you to be able to get something like income validation, it makes your job so much easier because you basically reduce your documentation by a ton. And for those that have never done like a day one certainty, like you can literally get a loan with a driver's license if you have a work number VOE and an account checks on your validation for your asset section, right? And then kind of use stuff like that. The other thing I think would be cool is if it kind of gave you some rules depending on the program. So like sourcing of large deposits, if your income, for example, is $5,000 a month, then somewhere it will tell you you need a source, you need to check anything that's greater than $2,500, right?
Right.
Because you're over 50%. Like, sorry, like so if you pick like a Fannie loan, for example, or you run a US, something that tells you a little bit more about the information just to avoid the sourcing of set large deposit, just kind of to anticipate certain things based on the program, I think would be cool.
Yeah, I mean the big thing is Arthur, like I'll tell you this, I come from retail. It's like before I owned a branch where like if you're not familiar with owning a branch, guys, like when you own a branch, you pay your own P&L, right? So like you run credit report, say you run a credit report. I run Kelly comes to me for a house. I run a credit report and I do a VOE for her through the work number. Oh, and also I let her like do an instant hit, as I used to call it, for like account check. So she doesn't even have to upload bank statements. you could be looking at like $300 just about in fees, roughly, for that. So when I was in a branch level, like when I was at a LO level and I was just at my branch manager, I used to click all that. I'm like, yeah, make it easy for them. Now that I'm the broker owner and I realize like, okay, you want a Finicity instant hit for their work number, you're at $68. You know, you want a tri-merge credit report, you're 86, you know, and then, you know, you want like, you know, you want to get their bank statements like linked up so that they don't have to do that. Like you could be looking at another $34 per account. So it's like, it's great. And in retail, you have those margins, like you could do it. Obviously, if you're in the broker world on this end, you're not non-del or something like that. Like, you know, you're kind of stuck there. So like what I try to do is I try to keep, you know, the fees as low as possible. I start with the soft pull. The other thing too is again, because like, I don't want to increase my rates. Cause like, if you have people that don't work or you have to keep doing updates, like that's going to keep hurting your, you know, it's going to keep hitting the P&L. So the one thing that we
100%.
did, what's that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So the one thing that we did set up and this is a godsend. My processor figured this out because she wanted to pull her hair out. Because I'd be like, "Hey, they're serious now. Like, let's send them a verification of employment, or let's send them a credit card off so that they can fill out, you know, their credit card info, so that I'm not paying for the credit report up front." At first, I thought that was nuts. I'm like, nobody's going to pay for their credit report up front. But just as I explained to you guys, like, this is what I used to do when I worked at a bank. I pitch that all the time. Like for you brokers, like if you're not saying, oh, hey, you're going up against a bank, did they charge you for your credit report? No. Great. I do. And they're going to say, well, why would I pay you? Well, let me ask you, sir. The reason that we charge is $86. They charge you at the end. But what happens if you don't buy a house with them right away? Maybe it's 2 years. How many credit reports do you think that they pay for? Do you think that Jet just gets paid out of what money? Like it doesn't just come out of thin air. There's a reason that, Guaranteed Rate owns a stadium, right? Like it's all the extra credit reports, all that stuff. Like that's all overhead. They have a higher rate, and that's why as a broker we're able to slim those margins down, and we're able to save you as much money. U Mortgage, they're another one. They claim they're a broker sometimes, and it's like if you're not charging that credit report up front, you're paying for somebody else's credit report whether you like it or not. There's margin baked into that rate. You're not getting the bottom dollar rate. And I'm not saying go out and say, hey, I'm the cheapest out there. That's not what I'm saying to do. But at the same point, like I got into a coaching group, and a lot of these guys are retail guys, and they keep pitching this model, and it's like 10 or 15 team member team. And I'm like, that's not economical. Like we're in a generation now where people are starting to realize rates. They can go on the internet and Google it. That's going to go out the door. So now it's time where it's like using systems like ARIVE, where you can now cut that encompass cost fraction, right? Have the automation so you're doing less work and be able to get through those scenarios like a lot faster. That's going to be your saving grace. And also, like to my point of where I was going with that, I'm not paying for credit reports up front. I'll pay for a soft pull for like $24, but then I charge them for a hard pull, and now I have it and I can run AUS in my system. So like that's a big one. Let me hit a couple of these questions because I don't want to rant on about what me and Arthur think is just good. So what rates are you using to price out the loan? Okay, so Lori, tell me about what you got going on. Are you a newer LO, or you just been in it for a while? What's the story?
No, I've been in LO since 21. 22, sorry, I was the processor first. So, but pricing out the loan, I always hear this from the lenders that like with UWM, they always tell us that ARIVE's not accurate. So when you're pricing out a loan, what rates, just hear me out, what rates do they actually use? Do they use the day before? Do they use that mornings? Because otherwise, why price it out? I mean, I love ARIVE that it prices it all out right there together, but you still got to go in and do it at each company.
So I'll tell you this, okay? I'm pretty blunt, so I'm sorry if this comes off straightforward. So like UWM is great, but there's a lot of bullshit that comes along with it. And some of these other lenders, like, I got New Res, which I like New Res, but like they hit me with some bullshit too. And it's, oh, your elite pricing status, this, that, and the other. Look, I put it in there. Are you a broker owner or do you work for somebody?
My boss is a broker owner.
Okay, so your boss is the broker owner. So you're the LO. So sell the rate where you're getting full comp. That's where it's at. Pick a lender that's giving you a full comp that looks decent. You know what I mean? That's where I would be pricing it out at. Most of my rates, like, if depending on how he says it up, are all of your rates the same? Like, are you all based off of the comp plan of like 2.25, 2.75?
Well, it depends which state. So in Georgia, no, they're not the same.
Okay,
in Oklahoma, yes, they're all the same.
So
I'm
that's
licensed, dual licensed. Go ahead.
got it. So state specific, you're going to go in that state. If they're all the same, the fact of the matter is from what I've been told, because I had UWM, now I went over to Rocket, and Rocket's not with Arrive. A lot of those adjustments aren't in there. And I'm going to tell you this, because of all the, you have YSP, so you can change your pricing depending on how many partner points you have. You're never going to be able to price out a loan accurately with UWM in Arrive system, knowing your YSP, because you got to see how many points you have, and then you're going to have to try, at some point you're going to have to be in that UWM system. But for just say a kind lending, a new res, who else do I have in there? The loan store. Their pricing is going to be updated. Now, keep in mind, you've been seeing yourself, if you're following the market, what was it? 2 days ago, the market took a shit. I mean, that's the thing. It would drop 50 or 60 basis points in an hour. So it's we all got the emails for a reprice, but it's technology. It's not perfect. So it's is Arrive going to be right on the money? Hell no. So usually what I'll do is I'll price it out. I'll see who has the best rate in Arrive, right? Whoever has the best rate, then I'm going to their portal. I'm checking it before I have my processor submit, right? Once they submit, boom, then it's locked. You know what I mean? Or I will say I am a gambling man. I float a lot of stuff. So I mean, but I see who's best that day, and then that's what I'm gonna do. So that would be my recommendation, because yeah, you're right. I have had it a few times. I look in Arrive, we send it there, and then the pricing shit. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And it comes out that it didn't pull over the API or whatever quick enough. They repriced here, but it's gotta go through the circuit board to get wherever. So, or maybe they went out to lunch, the secondary person, it was a little late, they had a few cocktails, they didn't get back to that desk fast enough. So I would be saying you should always go into their system, but you could get a damn good, it's the best loan sifter for free that you're going to get, that'll give you a ballpark of where you should be throwing that loan at.
Okay.
All right.
And does it have Michigan Mutual? Is that a company that you can usually set up
I
to?
don't think it has, but I think
No.
Kelly could tell you better. I don't think they have that one. It's all of the loan lenders that they have. If you hit integrated lenders in your dashboard in the upper right hand corner, it looks Michigan Mutual is not one of them, but they got some hitters. They got kind lending. I haven't really used a bunch. Windsor used to be good. I don't know if they are still. Flagstar was great until I went to Mr. Cooper. New Res, PennyMac. I mean, listen, there's a bunch. Lone Star was good, but I am gonna try to explore some of these. But yeah, it is a pain in the butt. If they're not in Arrive, yeah, you have to go out into their system and, kind of special price that out. But hopefully that answers your question,
Is there a reason why Michigan Mutual is not in there?
because they've got to pay to get integrated and nothing's free in life. So they're probably cheap and they're trying to keep the rates low. You know what I mean? That's what my guess would be if I was them. Bob D. Simone, can you talk about process for adding wholesale lenders to your pricing engine? So if they're not integrated with Arrive, you're not adding them to their pricing engine. You know what I mean, Bob? They'd have to pay for that integration so that it goes through. But again, you get what you pay for, right? It's kind of surprising Rocket, because they're not the cheapest either. So you would think that they would be integrated, but whatever. But a lot of these people, Provident's a great company. I like them. Not everybody likes them, but they're not going to integrate with this because they're a small bank. Their rates are great, but it's because their system's like the Stone Age, and they haven't updated it or put any money into it. So that's why they're offering the great rate. So it's you get what you pay for. You're parking at the stadium, it comes at a premium. That's dealing with Arrive. It saves you time and money. You want a lower rate, you might have to go outside of there sometimes for that, program or rate. And that's just it, is what it is. Cost of doing business. Marcin, will Arrive work in another country? Yeah, you got to get a VPN. You got to get a VPN. That's what Arthur was just saying. You had a few wholesale lenders ask me how much. Brian, link them with Kelly and tell them to stop wasting your time and to send you deals if they're going to call you on the phone. That would be my response to them, because I'm sure it's different for every company, what their systems are, what they use. But I mean, again, that's on them. And also, if I've learned anything, I can't tell you how many people told me, oh, we're going to integrate with Arrive, and then didn't and wasted my time. Franklin Mutual being one of them, who I despise and is now out of business. But yeah, they did that, and it was just, oh yeah, we're going to work on it. Nobody moves their system fast. So I don't see it happening. Kind told me they were going to do it. They actually did it, and it was already in the middle. So I will say they did they did, stand by their word. Left of the small banks that are in wholesale. Oh yeah, good luck. It's probably going to cost them a few shekels. So as long as they're willing putting the money out, I'm sure Harish doesn't mind getting them set up. Just give him the number; he'll figure it out. What else do we got? Arrive does require VPN. I use Provident all the time. Would love to have them. Yeah, Bob. Good luck. I don't think that one's going to happen, my friend. Who else we got? Any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh wait, for text, email status, files, is there any extra apps we need? Can we customize to go out in Spanish? We could. That would be pretty badass. So rates. Okay, we got you. I think I answered everything. Is there anybody else that's got something that I missed?
I think you hit them all in the chat.
I think I did. Normally
This is-
does. Used to the Honda Civics. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, the fact that you can even get Arrive on your phone, like that's a game changer in itself. So, I mean, I've never tried that with ICE or whatever they call it for Encompass. It's a joke. You can barely get on it on the computer, so your phone, it's like you're spoiled there.
A mobile app would be nice though. I will say that.
What's that?
If it was a mobile app, it'd be nice. I mean, the mobile web version is excellent, but just
Yeah,
adding it to an app may be a little bit nicer.
it would be good. I mean, I'll say this, like I always take the business owner side and I'm like, everything costs money and it's like, how much do you want this to be? Because then they got to deal with the glitches in there and the programming and all that. So it's like, look, like I'll deal with it how it is and I'm happy
Yeah.
with it. I think the compliance piece, like from an overhead standpoint, especially like being a broker owner, do I want to pay my processor to process or do I want to pay my processor to sit there and post close stuff? Like I'm a numbers guy, so her time of doing that versus me actually having to pull out a laptop versus an app, I'll take that all day and twice on Sunday. That's like more of a time save. Like I'd pay more for that before I'd pay more for an app. But again, to each his own.
We hear you. Well, listen, I want to thank you, Joe, for joining us. I know you were busy today, but we appreciate you joining us when you could and answering everyone's questions and just contributing so much to this conversation. I know there are a lot of people in this room who got a lot out of the conversation. Arthur, obviously, thank you for joining us again and chiming in. And thank you, everyone, for asking your questions. And yeah, give it up for Joe. Thank you again, Joe. We appreciate you being here.
No problem, no problem. Glad I could help you guys out.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we are going to be taking a break for the holidays, so you probably won't see us back here for Broker Connect for a couple of weeks, but we will see you all again in 2025. I hope everyone has a great holiday and a very happy new year.
Sounds good. Good luck, everybody. Have a good New Year.
Bye.
Wow.